In this video, we will discuss step-by-step procedure for performing the paper chromatography. Materials needed: chromatography paper for E-ample Whatman filter paper, solvent or solvent mixture, mobile phase, sample mixture, for example, ink, dye, or plant extract, pencil, not pen, ruler, capillary tube or dropper, beaker or jar, as the chromatography chamber, lid or cover for the beaker or jar, for example, watch glass or aluminum foil, binder clip or tape, optional. Procedure 1. Preparation of the chromatography paper. Take a strip of chromatography paper. Cut it to fit inside the jar or beaker without touching the sides. Draw a light pencil line near one end of the paper, about 1 to 2 centimeters from the bottom. This is the matte baseline where the sample will be applied. 2. Application of the sample. Using a capillary tube or dropper, apply a small spot of the sample mixture onto the baseline. Let the spot dry and apply it again in the same spot to concentrate the sample. Ensure the spot is small and circular. 3. Preparation of the solvent. Pour a small amount of solvent, mobile phase, into the beaker or jar. 4. Placing the paper in the chamber. Carefully place the chromatography paper into the beaker, jar, so that the bottom of the paper is immersed in the solvent. The solvent level should be below the baseline on the chromatography paper to prevent the sample from dissolving directly into the solvent. Cover the beaker jar with a lid to allow the atmosphere to saturate with solvent vapor. 5. Development of the chromatogram. Allow the solvent to rise up the paper by capillary action. This process separates the components of the sample based on their solubility and affinity for the paper. Do not disturb the setup and ensure the lid remains in place to prevent evaporation. 6. Marking the solvent front. When the solvent has traveled a significant distance, but before it reaches the top of the paper, remove the paper from the beaker. Immediately use a pencil to mark the solvent front, the highest point the solvent has reached on the paper. 7. Drying the chromatogram. Allow the chromatography paper to dry completely in the air or in a fume hood. 8. Observation and analysis. Identify the separated components by observing the different spots formed on the paper. Calculate the retention factor for each spot using the formula. RF equals distance traveled by the substance divided by distance traveled by the solvent. Notes: choose an appropriate solvent system to ensure proper separation of components. Always handle solvents in a well-ventilated area or fume hood. If the spots are not visible, use techniques like UV light or a chemical spray, e.g. 9-hydrin, for amino acids to visualize them. This method is commonly used for analyzing pigments, inks, or biochemical mixtures.